Welcome to today's video where we will be tackling 5 questions related to the sleep topic of human performance and limitations subject for the ATPL exams. We'll go through 5 of the latest questions, however I'll try to give you some more tips, both practical and exam specific. So let's jump into question number 1. Disturbance of the biological clock is most likely to appear after A, midnight sleep, or some other flights. So this is a very common question that you probably will see on your exam in one way or the other. Of course, your biological clock is based on the circadian rhythm, and the circadian rhythm is a roughly 24 to 25 hour body clock, biological clock that regulates when we sleep, when we get sleepy, when we have the highest vigilance, and so on and so on. Of course, your biological clock will most likely be affected by jet lags. So when the sun is up when it shouldn't, or when you're not too used to it being up, then of course your body clock will get confused. So this will occur on mainly eastbound flights. Remember the mnemonic, west is best. So when you're traveling towards west, the jet lag will be less. When you're flying east, the jet lag will be much worse. Remember, north to southbound flights, there is pretty much no jet lag involved, so you can always disregard them. So of course, flight from Amsterdam to Johannesburg number 3 will absolutely not be the correct one, because of course here in this case we are flying north to west. However, other flights, Amsterdam, New York, New York, Amsterdam, absolutely the jet lag will be there. It will be better and we will feel better when flying west. However, the jet lag still applies. And here one that can be a little bit confusing, the bed night sleep. What the bed night sleep will do, of course you will be very tired. However, it will not disturb your biological clock per se. You of course will be tired, you'll not feel rested, but your biological clock will remain intact, as this one is based mainly on the sunlight / day or night. For question number 2, this is a little bit of a tricky question. So of course, after a normal sleep of 8 hours, you wake up at 7 local time. In the afternoon, you have a nap, and then you're preparing for a 9-hour eastbound flight that departs at 11 p.m. Local time. When you will, your arousal levels will start reducing significantly. Of course, this question is asking about something called the circadian low. This is when our body's temperature are starting to drop down. This is when our blood pressure is also dropping down. Our body is essentially getting ready to sleep and tells us right now we are going to sleep. So the body is starting to slow down, and this is also when we start feeling very, very tired. So this is something that you need to be always mindful of. The circadian low starts anywhere from 2 a.m. and lasts until 5:59 in the morning, especially for the exams. For the exams, also remember that the most important factor when it comes to circadian low is your body's temperature. There are questions asking about exactly this. So in this case, remember the window of circadian low. However, also the trick here is that the time given is in UTC in the answers, and of course, it's in local time when it comes to the question. So we need to find the range that comes or appears in the window of circadian low for local time. So of course, 6 to 7 is not 1 to 1:59 either, 7 to 8 neither. However, between 2 and 3 and 4, absolutely, this will be in the window of circadian low. This is when the arousal levels will be reducing significantly and will be reduced significantly for most people. For question number 3 about our stages of sleep, so of course, including REM, rapid eye movement, how many stages of sleep are there? So there are 5 stages of sleep. We have 4 non-REM stages of sleep and 1 which is a purely REM sleep. The REM sleep is when our eyes start moving very rapidly. This is a medical term. And of course, during that time, you will experience dreams. This is when your brain is recovering, all your memory is being updated per se. So this is when the memories move to long-term memory. This is the time for your brain to relax. And this is when you also dream. The other stages will be drowsiness, light sleep, then we have deep sleep, and then we have the second deep sleep, and the second deep sleep will be the one where our body will be resting. So the deep sleep and the rapid eye movement stages are the most important ones. And here the question which asks about exactly what we just discussed. So of course, the rapid eye movement is to refresh your brain, and of course the non-REM sleep and mainly the deep sleep. So the deep stages of sleep will be to recover your body, to let your muscles repair and relax. And these stages will shuffle in about 1 hour, 30-minute intervals. So we will go through all 5 stages of sleep every, every hour and a half or so. This is why it's also recommended to, when you're sleeping, to sleep at for time that multiplies by 1.5, so you can go through the entire stages at least a few times. So for example, 3 hours, 4.5, 6 hours, or 7.5 hours will give you the best rest. If you are woken up during the deep or rapid eye movement stages of the sleep, you will feel extremely tired, and this is when people say that they're woken up at night and they don't know where they are. This is why they are most likely in these stages of sleep, and they will take about 20 to 25 minutes of the cycle. And now for the last question. So question number 5, in a multi-crew aircraft, taking a nap in the cockpit should last. So this is a very practical question. Controlled rest, which is it's a very popular thing. Pilots are absolutely allowed to sleep. This will depend mainly on the operators or the airlines. I've heard airlines allowing from maximum 30 minutes to 40 minutes of sleep for the pilots. And the reason for this is so that, the airline allows us some time to fall asleep. And then they do not want us to go into the deep sleep or the rapid eye movement stages of the sleep, as these will make the sleep inertia very strong, meaning that once woken up, we'll need a lot of time to recover our performance back to the levels that it was before we went to bed. So the nap in such environment should be between 15 to 40 minutes. Most airlines also require you to wake up around 20 minutes before starting the top of descent in order to ensure that the pilots at the critical stages of flight are vigilant. And this will be everything. I believe these are the most important things when it comes to sleep for the HPL. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best for exams, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.